late again. This happens often, and yet Ricky doesn't know why. We do.
Put your arms around me, baby. Put your arms around me, baby.
I just wanna fly. What you want? What you
Just
want?
want
What you want? What you
to
want?
fly.
All around the world, statues crumble for me.
Yeah, Mark McGrath.
Who knows
Yeah,
how long?
yeah.
Shut the door, baby.
Well,
Don't say a word. Shut the door, baby.
Don't say
a word.
That's the creepy part of that song. Well, the whole song is kind of creepy.
No, that's the exciting part, Jeff.
That's the exciting part.
All around the world. And then there was a black guy in that whole white band. There was a black guy too.
Well, he was there. He was the DJ. He was fulfilling the stereotype and being the DJ.
Wicked, 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 wicked. Yeah. What was he doing? He didn't even rap in that song.
He just did that. Wicked, 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 wicked.
Oh, I remember that now.
I don't know. I mean, Sugar Ray, that's one of those things we try to forget ever happened.
No, I bet he's still touring over 1,000 seat bars.
Sugar Ray actually still plays shows.
Oh, I believe it.
This happens.
Probably with Third Eye Blind.
Probably.
Right?
They are usually like...
Or Len, You Steal My Sunshine.
That's...
Or Lit, My Own Worst Enemy. Those guys all fall in the same category.
Lit was the best. Lit was from my neck of the woods.
Wait, what was his jam? He had...
They had My Own Worst Enemy was the popular one.
How does that go?
I too am blanking on how it goes right now. Yeah, to say my own worst enemy.
I didn't mean to call you that. Whoa, the
Please
90s. Where have you...
me.
Please tell me. Yeah, oh my gosh. What a great era.
Everyone, this week's
Eve
episode
6.
is just going to be us reminiscing about the late 90s and how terrible they
I'm
were.
blue, dabba-dee, dabba-die, dabba-dee, dabba-die.
Don't even... That one was the worst. I was...
No one makes music like that anymore.
I was seeing a girl at the time who owned the Eiffel 65 album. And she was seriously into it. And I was just like,
digging it, huh?
I can't get behind this. This is terrible.
This gives me serious pause about your
when she
mental
left me for
stability.
Rick's, I just said, forget about it.
Said this was meant to be.
Though she inspired me to write my very first song.
Which was?
The track number 4 on my debut album with the band 2
Cop
years
Killers.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Cop Killers. It was
Great song.
It was a remix
song.
of the Ice-T classic. It was... folks, for those of you tuning in and don't know what's happening right now.
This would be the most confusing show to just start in on. I just want to fly.
Yeah, we're like 3 minutes in and no one even knows what the show is called. It's called This Week in Mormons, where we talk about late 90s hits and Mark McGrath.
Heard of it? Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You can find us at thisweekinmormons.com, everybody. Go there.
You should. I mean, you really should. It's a fun place to be. Jeff, you do a great job with the website. May I just say, everybody, if you've been to our website or seen any of the effort to actually be a part of your lives, that's Jeff. Good work, Jeff.
I disagree, Alan. I feel like there are efforts in many areas. There are things to do to the website of which I lack talent.
Oh, I'm very talented. I just lack time. So we all do them together. I use your time and teach you my talents.
Well, yeah, we do what we got to do, you know. We make it work.
If I could teach you how to bagpipe from afar, Jeff, you would have everything I have. That's the only reason I get more women than you is my bagpiping skills.
The other reason would be I am in a monogamous relationship.
Sadly, I think you probably... Well, no, that would actually work out. You would get more ladies in a monogamous relationship than I do. That's fair. Just one, really. You have one lady.
Yeah, I'm married.
I'm at 0. I'm at 0 ladies, Jeff.
You may have more women, but I have one wife. And though, before we started recording, you professed a desire to have multiple wives. So...
That was in confidence, Jeff. That was strictly in confidence.
To quote Al, this polygamy thing seems like a good idea to me.
No, we have a polygamous article that we're going to be talking about today, and the picture in it makes polygamy look amazing, right? It's just two
Utah
nice
moms.
women with like a granite countertop and some frosted mini wheats, and I'm like, what is there not to like about this? I would love to come downstairs and it's like the house is clean and breakfast is made because they split and like conquered everything all at once. And I'm like, man, you guys are amazing. What a team we are. I feel like that would be fun. Having to actually account to Jesus for my my mishap would be less fun. But I mean, the granite countertops and the mini wheats and the kids, that's everything I'm looking for in life.
Yeah, well, you can have that in Utah where the cost of living is reasonable.
I have to go to Harriman. That's where the polygamy is now. Harriman, Utah.
Well, it's far enough removed.
You go there for polygamy, or you go to Malad, Idaho for the swingers, or you go like that whole track, that whole Wasatch Front. There are some shady parts. Can we talk about this for a minute?
Uh-huh.
Shady Wasatch Mountain.
Which other parts are shady? Tell me more.
Well, you keep going south. I mean, you get into like, what is it, Colorado City, Utah, or something?
That's not the Wasatch Front, but okay.
Where's the Wasatches?
The Wasatch Front is just that main front range that pretty much...
the Wasatch behind, excuse me, Jeff.
That is synonymous with the populated part of Utah. So you're basically talking like
also,
Santaquin up to...
I don't have it on good authority, but Grindr, the mobile app for gay men, its hottest usage is in Logan, Utah.
Is that so?
You heard it here first.
Is that so? I think we need to get you on Tinder, Al. That's our next step.
That's how I'm going to find love, Jeff.
Why aren't you on Tinder, man? It's simple.
What if I found love on Tinder?
My wife has no respect for this program.
Or for Tinder.
Sure.
How did her muffins come out? Are they burned?
I think the muffins are okay.
Oh, good.
Danielle, do you want to come on the air here and give us a muffin update?
Now, if I may, Jeff, if you were in a polygamous relationship, the muffins would be good and the house would be clean.
That's true.
I'm just throwing that out there. When you can paralyze and knock out two things at once, how is that not an efficiency expert such as yourselves dream?
Well, you have to feed both of them.
Oh, that's true.
It's two individuals. We're not talking one person with 4 arms. That would be cool.
This isn't a Shiva thing. This is a real 2 mouths, 2 sets of arms.
You have betrayed Shiva. Now I'm having flashbacks to Temple of Doom.
Om Shiva. Om Shiva. Om Shiva. Cover the heart, Indy. Cover the heart. That's my best little Chinese guy.
Best part about that movie is the great discovery of, if you just like torch somebody for a second, they just snap out of it. Like that's what did it. They drank blood or whatever and became zombies. But just, prod them with a torch. It's fine.
I feel like they should discover that on The Walking Dead. That would make that show a lot easier to
Right?
watch. Yeah.
Simple.
Ideas.
Sounds like the heat is outside. I can hear a chopper.
The fuzz are here. It's a chopper. It's not the police have a helicopter.
I live in what we would call a transitional zone.
You're in the process of gentrifying.
So, actually, where we live is fine. Actually, where I used to live was more of a transitional zone. I literally lived 2 blocks away from the projects, so that was different.
How does one decide they're the projects, though? That's what's interesting.
Because what technically makes them the projects is, in this case, under Virginia law, they were Section 8 housing. So they were housing projects.
Literally the projects.
Owned by the states. They were actual projects.
Good night.
Unlike anything you see in New York, the ones up in like Spanish Harlem are insane, so no room to complain.
I'm just realizing I made a huge mistake. I started the show without my ice cream. It's all the way over in the freezer.
Oh, what will you tell the children?
Jeff, this will be the first show in probably 100 shows that I am not eating something while we work.
So can we expect more professionalism or more anger?
I think it's a mix of both. I don't know that one comes without the other.
Professional anger?
It's professionalism plus anger.
That sounds delightful.
Hey, so how have you been? How's DC? I feel like we're just babbling at this point. How is life?
It's fine. I went to a traffic court last week. That was exciting.
You won, if I remember.
Yeah, well,
did you pull the move where you just pretend not to hear anything, and then when you get to the end, you'd be like, "Oh, I've been here the whole time. What do I have to do?
No,
And
I
they're like,
acted.
"Oh,
I
just
acted
go."
crazy for a while, and they said, "Mr. Openshaw, you need to settle down, or I'm going to hold you in contempt." Then I said, "I hold this court in contempt."
Great liar, liar reference. Keep going.
And then the judge said,
I hold myself in contempt.
And then he said, "I
Where's
respect."
my
He's like,
son?
"I respect your tenacity." Case dismissed. It was
No, what
fine.
happened?
Oh, I got a ticket a while ago for no big deal. But in Virginia, you can't just opt to go to traffic school on your own if you want the guilty plea to be off your record. So you have to go to court and request it. So that's what I did.
I'm
Thankfully,
sorry, you went to court to request traffic school.
yes, they have a point system in Virginia. So you get a ticket, and it will be points on your record and a guilty plea on your license, unless you do traffic school by order of the court, in which case they dismiss the charges.
I wonder
Thankfully-
what I have on my license. I've got a few tickets in my day, and I just pay money to make them go away. I don't know what's actually happening on my
I don't
license.
believe the foreign ones do anything.
No, I've got more than just the foreign ones.
I got a
though.
ticket in Spain 5 years ago. Nothing came of it.
I had one moment where I was driving through Colorado, right near Golden City.
Yeah, I remember this one.
And I was clearing about 100, and they dropped. It was downhill, and so I was feeling really good about life. And they dropped the speed limit to 55, and so that was one of those where the guy came up, and I'm smiling and cheering. He's like, "I'm supposed to take you to jail," and I was like, "But I have a girlfriend with me." Didn't help. Well, he didn't take me to jail,
Yeah,
but
that's
then in
good.
the end, I just kept calling and asking to reduce the fee, and in the end, I only had to pay like $100.
They might have reduced it then, so it didn't
Which
matter.
I feel like paying $100 to be able to drive 100 miles an hour all the way from Missouri to Utah that's worth it. I
Aldone,
made the
ladies
right
and gentlemen. Aldone. $100 is nothing to this man.
No, $100 to be able to drive twice the speed limit. I feel like I came out on top.
Just pay that money and go to a track, and then you can do it all day.
No. It's like when I was in Utah last, their parking tickets downtown are only $10, right? So if I park in front of City Hall and run in and come out, and they tag me, it's $10. I'm paying $5 at a little parking meter. So I'm like, why not just park on the steps of the courthouse, run in, do what I got to do, and if you get me $10, and if you don't, I'm out of there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally.
I don't feel like that's a bad idea, honestly.
Can I tell you how wonderful it is to teach new member discussions?
Oh, you did that today, right?
I've been enjoying it, really, because it's been a long time. When you're around newer members, I mean, these ones, they're just like, they're a sponge. And it's amazing, and it's wonderful. And even on this show, we get so wrapped up in minutia of the church, and I forget what it's like to be with people where the gospel is new to them. They just want to learn. And it's, and you feel the spirit and stuff.
Hold on. I'm Googling minutia. I don't remember what that word means.
Oh, please.
Give me a definition.
Your minutia is showing.
Ignorance? Let's see.
Hey, do you have any minutia?
Define minutia. You are the least helpful dictionary. Google is much better. The small, precise, or trivial details of something.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I was just curious. I'm sure you used it in the right context, Jeff.
I do. I've been using minutia for years. It's a good go-to word.
Lucky for you, I found fruit snacks. I'm going to be fine.
Oh,
today.
congratulations. So that's my life. How's your life? What's going on?
Wait. Before you go on, so you taught this new member discussion. What did you teach? What was it?
This was our second lesson, and it was all about the plan of salvation.
I've heard of that.
So I made up the little diagram, but I did it in Spanish, and we talked about the plan of salvation and the atonement and spiritual death and physical death.
Now, can we get a little churchy on y'all for a minute?
I stressed that Joseph Smith was just a man, and we don't worship him. Yes, go ahead.
I've heard of that. I was talking to a friend of mine the other night about sort of a similar topic, and how in the church a lot of times we get in this mode of trying to teach or prove that the church is true.
For sure.
Right? And what's interesting is I had two scriptures shared with me as a missionary. One by Elder Eyring when he came to the MTC and spoke, and one that I just found while I was studying my own. And the first one was in 3 Nephi 27, where Christ is speaking about how he is letting himself be lifted up on the cross to draw all men unto him, right? And Elder Eyring talked about how as we go about our missions, we are looking for people that are being drawn to Christ, right? Don't spend your time trying to convince people that this is the right church. Look for people that are being drawn to him in one way or another. Either, they've had a baby and they're giving pause to greater things than themselves, or something happens in their life, or whatever it is, right? And they're drawn to Christ. And now, like, I'm constantly reminded of the need for us to consider that, right? To consider that people are, like, we're not doing the heavy lifting in the church. Our job is to just try and help people find what they're looking for. There's another verse in Jeremiah where it talks about how the children of Zion will go thitherward with their faces towards Zion, seeking an everlasting covenant. And it struck me so much that the children of Israel are looking for Zion. They've turned themselves in that direction, and they're seeking that covenant that is everlasting, that allows them to return to Heavenly Father. It's cool, right? I mean, like, as Mormons, your job's not to go and convince anyone of anything. Your job is to go and find people that are looking for it in their lives. And so, that's one of those things that I've kind of missed or neglected in my life. Is I've quit being as I guess, sensitive to some of that. And so it's cool that you were able to go on a new member lesson and sort of experience that all over again.
It is good to experience.
The plan of salvation is one of those that, like, when people hear it, they're like, yes, I remember, this is right, it feels good. Right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's so easy to lose sight of that. It's funny because, for example, there's I don't want this to sound negative, but of course there are groups like say the Mormon Stories Facebook group, which I've been a member of because there are people who have crises of faith and have issues with a lot of things.
No, you like to argue, Jeff.
No, actually I don't. I just watch for the most part. But I feel like in so many of these discussions, while concerns are certainly valid, I rarely see people addressing more basic issues. It's like, hey, let's prove why the church is false. And one thing, you can't really prove the church is false. You can prove that people have made mistakes, that bad things have happened that potentially shouldn't have. But you can't necessarily prove that the church is false, because at the end of the day, Joseph Smith was either called of God to be a prophet or not. Taking out any of his personal weaknesses or problems or anything like that, either the man restored the church or didn't. And either President Monson is a prophet or he's not. And the only way to know that is through faith and through keeping it simple in that sense. And I'm not saying that people's deeper concerns are not valid. Of course they are. Those are things that should be addressed. But I rarely see them coupled with a more basic level desire and understanding. I see people picking apart church history and deciding the church isn't true, with no discussion of just the atonement and simple concepts that are valuable. I see a lot of that. Also, yeah. I was abruptly ejected from the Mormon Stories Facebook page, I realized today. So John DeLynn, not only did you try to infringe upon our intellectual property, you're also a douche. So there you go, buddy. Have fun.
Wait, what happened? How did you get kicked out?
I don't know. I messaged John DeLynn and said, dude, I didn't do anything. Why am I what happened here, guy? Anything go down?
No response.
No. Here's the response. If you want some vintage John DeLynn. Did you say something offensive? I honestly don't remember. It's just usually when I see something awful. You'll have to remind me. This happens almost daily. I don't remember your case specifically. And I said, nope, didn't say anything. You'll have to try a little harder. I'm sure I didn't boot you for nothing. And I just said, because honestly, on that page, I'm mostly a watcher. I appreciate seeing what other people have to say and what they deal with and what's going on and stuff like that. It's not necessarily that I'm seeking to engage about a great number of things. So who knows what that's all about, John DeLynn. And other also scandalous news, if you want to ruin the spirit. And just
keep going.
The beloved Kate Kelly of Ordained Women fame, my mission friend and Facebook friend for a long time, appears also to have removed me as a Facebook friend.
Wait, you served your mission with Kate Kelly?
I did, yeah.
And she doesn't love you?
I don't know. I've publicly said things that are critical of the Ordained Women movement. I know that at times there's been even times on the show when we haven't been as sensitive perhaps as we should have been. And I'm aware of that, and I think that's something.
No, I don't feel like that's fair.
No, there have been times, even myself, and I know I have, and I've appreciated people's feedback when that's been the case, and I've tried to moderate. And I feel like, especially now with ordained women, while I don't believe in everything they're trying to do or the methods with which they seek to obtain what their goals, that I've been respectful and understanding. I mean, but I've been publicly critical from an objective standpoint. So apparently what I'm learning is that people who have problems with people, it's the classic free speech thing. I believe
the skin is thin, Jeff. The skin
I believe in everyone's wonderful free speech and right to say whatever they want. But, oh, wait a minute. You disagree with me? No. Let's make sure that voice isn't heard. How often does this happen, people? It's very sad.
So true.
It's very sad.
So true.
Even we censor sometimes, but very rarely. Only if it's mean. Speaking of free speech, did you see Mozilla's CEO?
Yes, I did. So this is good drama. Like, we're full of good drama today, actually. So Mozilla's CEO, back during the Prop 8 stuff, and I don't know if he's Mormon or not. I doubt
he is. I don't think he is.
We can't know. Maybe we can.
We can't know. There's things that we can't know. Is the church true? Is Mozilla's CEO Mormon? We can never know.
I mean, we could be journalisty and like reach out to him, but that's not our style. We like to read an article and speculate on it like men. And so Brendan Eich is being like, so he's the CEO of Mozilla. He was formerly the CTO, a very competent CEO, leader of a company.
Oh yeah.
And
like
back in the day, donated $1,000 to the Prop 8 campaign. So now
6 years ago,
this is public record. Everybody's very excited about this, and they want him to step down as CEO. At Mozilla, they support an open and participatory culture that encourages them to speak up in moments of disagreement. And so, by being open and participatory, they are trying to exclude this man with a different opinion than their own.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he has done nothing to make people feel uncomfortable. It's nothing he said. It's nothing he does in his job or in the faculty of his job or even his personal life outside of donating to a cause that he felt was worthwhile. So, further than that, there's been other websites, namely OkCupid, which it may be an April Fool's joke. We're doing this on April 1st.
I don't think
it's a gamble. You can't know, but it would be a very tactless April Fool's joke if it was. But they put a post where if you visit their page using Mozilla, they call you out and say you're using a browser that is led by a company that is supported by anti-gay things. In fact, this man donated $1,000. I don't feel like making a donation to a cause that from a civil inaction standpoint you believe in should be reason for people to discriminate against you. I mean, even if it's completely wrong and I support it and it fails and democracy has led its route, its course, it's done what it's supposed to do, and then I'm not mad about it, I just go on living my life. Why would you drag that back up and try and punish me for supporting democracy?
Yeah.
Or is it democracy? Am I being trite in that, Jeff?
Well,
should there be something here?
Well, democracy needs safeguards because the Democratic majority could decide, what if the Democratic majority decided we needed segregation all over again? And at times people did say we need to have segregation until the Supreme Court stepped in basically and said, no, you can't have this anymore. So democracy isn't perfect because just will of the majority is not necessarily always the best thing. But there is a fine line, I think. I agree with you in one sense that free speech and freedom of expression and association are one thing, and if we all support that, then we should be able to separate the professional from the personal in that sense. But on the flip side, for people, if you view gay marriage as a fundamental personal civil right, and many do, and that's great, that's on par with things like other civil rights, like racial rights. It's like, what if this guy had donated $1,000 to a white supremacist group that had the aim of repealing, the 14th Amendment?
Yeah.
And if we view it through that lens, where something like gay marriage is on par with that level of discrimination by denying it, then people get very riled up about it. But where also agree with you is that this also was 6 years ago for a political campaign that did pass and then was overturned, and the man is clearly not engaged in any sort of activity since then to restore Proposition 8 or fight its court ruling.
Is that enough? Like, so I'm assuming we're I mean, the people that are having trouble with this are people that feel like gay marriage is a civil right? They put it in that same category. That's actually a really good way of classifying it.
Well, yeah, for
So
sure.
is the fact that he donated and then went silent? I mean, it's not like he's continued to be a voice or use his position as a platform,
or if he's ever been a voice for that matter. As far as I can tell, he just donated the money and that was it. He wasn't out there on the streets picketing or doing anything else. He was just.
Maybe he accidentally donated the money. Maybe he thought he was buying cigarettes.
It was a PayPal glitch.
Mozilla has been decidedly silent on all this. They haven't said a word.
So far, they're resolute. It is weird. Can you fire a guy? And this is really where the concept of religious freedom really comes up against, what is just or what is fair in a broader context. And I think this is the big issue even the church is going to face going forward, trying to find this balance between what is freedom of expression, freedom for individuals and corporations to do things in a certain way, like with birth control, which is a big issue right now with the church and the Catholic Church and all of us together trying to add an exemption in Obamacare that allows religious organizations to not provide health care, not be required to do so. This is going to become a bigger and bigger issue as these things run up against each other, because even with no one wants a compromise in this case.
No, you want, each side wants to be right.
I mean, every side always wants to be right, but I feel like there's so little room for compromise or gray area on issues like this that no one's really willing to take it to that point. I mean, the church, with gay rights has been very open about civil unions and full actual civil rights. I think with the church, it's more just the notion of marriage. The sacrament and the ordinance of marriage itself is special and reserved for men and women. The church has never said that gay couples shouldn't be afforded the same benefits under the law, but for them, it's just nomenclature. Really is what we're getting down to. But
I wonder, is it okay to publicly shame people for having an opinion that's not the popular one, right? So let's take, if it's on the same boat as racism, right? Let's say this guy was a KKK guy. Is it appropriate to go and dig out all the guys that supported that movement and then shame them? I mean, Nazism, we've been a huge fan of that.
Well,
right? Anybody that was a Nazi sympathizer, we've publicly outed, and essentially their lives were ruined after all that came tumbling down.
Or communism, or McCarthyism, all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem with gay rights, it's a newer issue. If you were to find out somebody was a KKK sympathizer, the board would have him removed like that.
Yeah.
There would be no question.
Right.
Not at all.
Will gay marriage end up in the same boat, you think?
Well, maybe. I mean, the tide is turning that way. And at the end of the day, I think most people feel that despite even their own personal beliefs, I think it's becoming that a lot of people say, yeah, but if a gay couple feels this way and this is their reality.
The piece of this that feels unreasonable to me is, like you said, it's a newer issue. And so while we're in the beginnings of it where we're still sorting through it all, right? There's not, I feel like every year people are more and more accepting and understanding of the gay rights movement and things of that nature. But in the very beginning, 2008, when was it? When was Prop 8?
2008.
2008, as all this goes down and everybody's, it's their first foray into how they feel about this. Is it fair to hold them accountable for what they supported or what they were doing at that point? Or if it happened today, would it still be fair?
Well, look at it this way. We still, people have still gone after former Nazi war criminals, decades later.
So what if he were Mormon and he didn't necessarily donate to the Prop 8 campaign, but he was just a member of a church that is anti-gay, quote unquote, according to these people?
What do you mean? What difference would there be?
Yeah.
I don't think there'd be any. I don't think people are going after him because they think he's Mormon. They're just going after him.
Well, no. I'm saying, could they? I feel like I very well could be singled out. People could paint a picture.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Like if they're building all this hubbub around $1,000 donation, I feel like they could do a similar thing around me being a member of a church that that, when they've already said this, they said this about Mitt Romney, is a member of a racist church that hates gay people, right? Like that's how they try and paint the picture around Mormonism, which all of it is not true. But we had our own kind of figuring out who we are sort of moments, right?
Well,
so would that be fair for them to like out me as a Mormon and try and remove me from office?
No, I don't think that's fair in that sense.
Why?
And this,
why not?
Things like this happened actually back during Prop 8, because in Southern California there were many people in the entertainment industry, and there were some LDS, like stage managers and people along those lines who worked with plenty of gay people and have no personal beef with them, but have their beliefs about marriage and its definition. And these people were basically more or less forced to resign from their positions.
Oh, I remember. I remember there was quite a bit of that, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind.
But the funny thing is, did you also know, though, that Mormons have the most liberal theology in the whole world?
I knew that, yeah.
Okay.
I remember that.
That's according to Greg Trimble, who likes to write all sorts of apologist stuff for the church. But it's okay.
He's a good link baiter, too. He's got good headlines.
He's a brilliant link baiter, yeah. So
everybody click on me. You won't believe what happens next. Yes, we will, Greg Trimble.
His basic premise here, and correct me if I'm incorrect, Al, is basically that, we believe in the 3 degrees of glory. So by and large, everybody is sort of going to inherit something good one way or another. It's just that the best stuff is better. This is a good, better, and best scenario, is what I'm to understand. With the small minority being eligible for outer darkness. And so
a large chunk of people view, there's that old joke, right, where I forget how it even goes, but they get to heaven and the Catholics think that everyone's there and the Mormons think they're the only ones. Have you heard that? I don't know what I'm saying. But anyway, the idea is like Mormons think that only Mormons go to heaven and everybody else is just out of luck. And that's sort of what most people feel like we believe. And even in the church, I think there's a lot of people that feel that way. They're like, oh, well, I guess everybody needs to be Mormon or we're kind of out of luck. Mm-hmm. And actual Mormonism does not believe that, right? Like, we believe that everybody almost completely will get to heaven. A much more liberal theology than any other religion that I know of, where you have all kinds of stuff you got to do. You got to accept Jesus and say the words and do all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. And in our religion, no. Everybody gets there. Everybody does.
More or less.
Then those that are more, I guess, faithful or whatever it is. There's different degrees of that glory that you'll be awarded, but there's nobody that is excluded in our religion.
Right. I like it.
Where are you typing to? What are you going to?
I was doing nothing.
Liar.
By the way, I was rude, and I never asked you how you're doing. I know that we're half an hour into the show.
No, I'm well.
But I never found out how you are.
The MSNBC crew was here today. We recorded a spot. There will be a 6-minute spot on. It's called Main Street America or Main Street USA.
Main Street USA, just like Disneyland. Oh,
that's
Disneyland.
Right. So they came and did a spot on our little Main Street, and it'll be a 6-minute piece. Should be fun. You'll see me. I had a 30-second walk. They wanted to get a shot of me walking. So I walked down my street with purpose and conviction. You'd have been proud, Jeff.
Just like you walked for the NBC one with Harry.
I walked with Harry that time. This time I walked with JJ, but I also walked alone.
Oh,
now you'll look at it and you'll think he's walking alone. No, that's really the time when Jesus carried me. Fun fact.
Hey, did you happen to see the women's meeting this weekend?
Wait. Before we go on, though, they asked some interesting questions that I hadn't really been asked before. One was like, what's the role of faith in growing your business, and what has that done? I thought it was interesting to because I don't know. I've thrown out a couple of times that I was Mormon and that kind of thing, and they're like, what's the role of faith in growing your business? And it's a difficult. I feel like it's kind of a weird place to try and explain through. I'm very reluctant to isolate myself by saying I'm this, you're that, right? Like by identifying with a label and just saying I'm Mormon. Good luck, everybody. I hope you can accept me. I'd much rather sort of embrace the idea that that I believe in God and that like I feel like without His help I couldn't have done what I've done. But it was kind of an interesting internal conflict that I had where my instinct was like, yeah, I should talk about being Mormon, and the other part of me was like, well, I am Mormon, but I'd like to be more inclusive than that. Is that weird? Should I?
No, it's not weird. And when you tell this,
bold?
I think of Mitt Romney in the 2008 campaign, where I was constantly disappointed with him for not like being Mormon enough. It seemed like he was always trying to say like, I'm an evangelical, I'm a Christian. Don't worry about me.
Yeah.
And I was very easy like, dude, represent, man, come on. But I'm sure you can understand that a bit more in your being in similar shoes on a smaller scale. Where you don't
smaller shoes on a similar scale.
No, because your shoes are big. Smaller scale,
Okay,
big
fair.
shoes.
Oh, no, I see where you.
I guarantee your feet are larger than Mitt Romney's.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Yeah. That's accurate. Size 17.
That would be, I don't know how that's your personal choice. How much you want to, how Mormon you want to be. I mean, your company's already headquartered in one of the old hallowed grounds for Mormon persecution, anyway. So
the hotbed of hatred.
Yeah.
Sure, we're here, not going anywhere.
Rise above.
No, but I mean, it was like I was surprised that I wasn't more bold with it. But I think there's a time and a place. It's kind of my thought.
Yeah, that's fine. You're just you're not talking about your faith on here. You're talking about your business.
Anyway, yeah. Okay, so women's conference. Where were you going?
Did you see it? Did you watch it?
I did. I watched it the morning after.
How was that?
I felt awake and refreshed.
How was it the morning after? Did you? It was better than watching it the night before than regretting it the next day.
That was my approach. I didn't want it to be like a burrito from a cheap Mexican bar,
like Beto's.
So I waited till the morning after, and then it was like a breakfast burrito, which is always satisfying.
So
no, we're dumb. Yeah, okay. What do you got? You got some quotes?
I don't know. Actually, I have no quotes, but it was interesting to watch this new concept where a meeting for all women 8 and up. 8! Mind you, ladies.
So you've been baptized. You all of a sudden are part of a group.
Mind you, ladies, priesthood session is not even for 8-year-old men. So before we cry about...
Jeff, priesthood's not given to 8-year-old men.
I know, but before we... So when we cry about inequality in the church, let's remember that you get 4...
Oh my gosh, are you seriously going to draw that parallel?
Oh, I am.
Inequality in the church is all of a sudden weighted in favor of the women because 8-year-olds got to go to a meeting.
They get 4 extra years of their own meeting. Oh, when I was 9, I would have killed to go to priesthood. I would have felt like a man. But then the church
now you
said,
watch it on the TV, Jeff.
Are you going to watch it from home this time or go to church?
No, I'm absolutely going to watch it from home. I'm flying back to Utah for conference, and I hate being in Utah for conference.
So why?
But I'll be back there, and so I will watch it all from the comfort of my living room.
Well, that's good. But the women's conference was interesting. Now, I don't recall if in the past women have conducted or not. I just don't remember. I have no idea. But
I don't remember either.
But it was interesting that they had a female announcer. No Lloyd Newell. It starts off with just a woman voiceover, which was great.
Sister Newell. Fun.
Probably. And the whole format was very interesting. Lots of musical numbers. It felt more collaborative. You had a random new beehive gave the prayer. It wasn't like they just had the young women's general president give the prayer. It was interesting to see. I thought it was a positive thing for sure.
Yeah, it was like a 12-year-old girl got up and gave the prayer, right?
So I thought it was a positive thing for sure. And there were many times when I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? What is this? You're singing songs impromptu out of nowhere.
I like the video presentation.
You're showing videos to show that the church isn't just full of white people.
I also liked Elder Eyring's talk at the end. I thought that was great. And then there was the sister wearing red, who was sort of a short, pleasant-looking woman, who referenced a she had some quote along the lines of like, quit trying to be perfect. Perfect means complete. Like, try and be complete in who you are.
There we go.
It's not about like winning the race. It's about like running the race and being a part. It's sort of that model of like, don't quit beating yourself up, women.
The women do beat themselves up.
It was interesting to me though, as I watched this, I found very little that applied to me. I didn't identify with very much of it at all. And I thought, I was like, oh, well, we're talking about, good spiritual things. Of course, I'll find tons in here. And I was like, this isn't, they're addressing things that people need to hear in a different gender, it felt like. That's why they called it women's meeting.
That's-
But the women that I know that went to it, they came back and they said it was incredible. That's why I watched it the next morning. I was like, well, I got to see this. And then I was watching it and I was like, I am a man. I don't have any of these problems.
I gotta say this though. Why do we do this with the choirs we have? I mean,
What?
the color schemes? People, can't we dress a little more
Adorable.
adult?
It was adorable.
No, it was terrible.
It's pastels and craziness.
Yeah, it was like an Easter basket of
I
awful.
put $9 on it that they were from Pleasant Grove. Were they Pleasant Grove?
I don't
Farm?
remember where they were from, but of course
I'm
they
sure
were
they
from
were.
the Wasatch Front.
Of course.
And we can get into my gripes another time of how I wish the church would branch out and invite choirs from outside of Utah to sing in conference, even if they foot their own bill. I think that'd be awesome.
Why not?
They should do
That'd
it.
be great.
You've got the
Right.
the Millennial Choir Organization in Orange County, California.
Of course, you go right to Orange County.
Sorry, they're also in Dallas and in the East Valley of Arizona. Any of them
More?
are solid Motab alternatives for a random session, and they'd happily go up and sing. It would be
Hey,
good.
so before we move on, there's an article called "Equal Means Something" over at Times and Seasons.
Okay.
It's kind of an interesting article. I didn't agree with everything in here, but I felt like it was trying to address some meaningful issues. One, how young women, like young women and young men are not perceived as equal. Even if they may be treated as equal, they have similar programs that they can do. But young men are given much more visible responsibility, even without, the priesthood being a part of it, right?
Yeah.
They are just like put in a more visible area, and the young women are sort of more behind the scenes. And so they suggested a couple of ways for some of that to even out. And so while we were talking about the women's conference, I felt like it was appropriate to kind of go through some of these, because there's some that, as I was reading this, I was reading it a little bit tongue in cheek, as I was like, here we go, another one of these. Because I'm just kind of a schmuck like that right now. I'm in a bad place, everybody. But as I read these, I was like, you know what? Honestly, some of these make sense. Like why is this not something that we do? Why are we not giving our girls the opportunity to serve and be active in the church like this? Some of them were, they were just like, well, why couldn't we give the young women the task of being ward greeters, right?
Yeah.
Like let them work out those logistics. What about giving them the task of managing the sacrament meeting music? They could have somebody that played the hymns and conducted and picked the hymns, did all of that. That could be given completely to the young women. Let young women speak in sacrament. In fact, even let
That would assume you have 46, 47 young women to speak.
Oh, I was doubled up.
My ward has 2.
Let young women open and close the doors as the young men deliver the sacrament
Sure.
to those in the lobby. Some of these would feel really weird because we're used to like old men running and being the ushers, or priests being the ushers, that kind of thing. The young women introduce the theme of the meeting with a scripture or a quote, things like that are just. There's a lot of things that you could do that would be assignment based, not priesthood calling based, that would give women a little bit more responsibility, make them a little bit more visible. And I think, really, it's at the leisure of the bishops. You don't need a stake president's approval to have young women be your greeters or to give a quote before introduce a theme or something of that nature for a talk or for a meeting. These are good ideas that are super easy to implement. Go be creative and make your young women feel more valued.
All I can say is I agree, and it would be great to see. Let them have more visibility as well. Doing great work, serving in the kingdom.
Yes,
I concur.
Jeff, don't you want to talk about legalizing polygamy?
Sure. Should we legalize it?
No.
Interesting.
Done and done. But they've got a picture of a nice granite countertop. Can't you agree that looks like a very attractive way of life? Just looking at this picture, bowls of frosted mini wheats, pastel-colored shirts, and babies.
You
That's
clearly
all
don't know
one out of life.
what a box of Cheerios looks like, do you? Those are obviously Honey Nut Cheerios.
Whole grain, it says on the back.
Yeah, and it's a General Mills logo, who don't make shredded mini wheats. That's
All right,
made by
whatever.
Post. Learn your cereal brands.
I don't know what you're trying to do to
Oh,
me.
my gosh.
What do you want from
Interesting article, though, here in Slate actually says legalize polygamy. No, I am not kidding. And that polygamy, which is usually vilified as bad for women, is actually a feminist thing that protects women because it's a sex-positive choice. It gives women more choice. As long as everyone is consensual, it lets women actually take more initiative and, like be in charge of their own fate and not think like they have to depend on find some one man to take care of them. They can find a man to take care of them and other people.
So they're saying that it's essentially part of the argument is that you can't say no to polygamy. I mean, well, and we talked about this back when the legalized gay marriage stuff was happening, and we all made fun of it. It was like, well, you can't just stop there. You can't say that this is legal and then what happens when you want polygamy or this other stuff? And it's like, well, that's crazy. That'll never happen. Well, it actually is happening, and it's a fairly compelling argument at this point of like, if marriage is supposed to just protect those that are in love and give opportunity to those making that commitment, then what have you against polygamy?
It's a fair point.
As my second grade teacher would call it.
Well, I think from a theoretical standpoint, there is none. If consenting adults want to do whatever and be in these plural marriages and everyone's happy about it and no one's being abused or coerced or whatever else, on paper, it's hard to say why on earth that should be against the law if gay marriage can be legal.
What say ye? Well, kind of I don't know. We thought that it was. I still remember as we were talking about some of this stuff, and I'm like, I remember talking to you, Jeff, and I was like, they're using scare tactics. They're going to the extremes and saying they're going to sue to marry in our churches, and then they're going to legalize polygamy after this because where does it stop? And I was like, none of that's actually going to happen. We just are using that to scare people to make us fight it. Well, it turns out it actually is happening. The yoke is on my face.
It might be. I do think the point of view that willfully engaging in polygamy is actually a positive choice for women, because it lets them. It's not even sexist. It's just them choosing a different path, and therefore it gives women the freedom to choose whatever they want to be, which is an interesting perspective. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. All right, let's.
The question is, what would the church do if polygamy was made legal because of this?
They would not. They wouldn't change.
I don't think they would. But that is what. But would we stand shoulder to shoulder with those who opposed it, or would we stay silent? I think we'd stay silent.
Woo!
That was a special look on your face that you just made.
Woo!
That was.
I would hope we'd stay silent.
That was a special moment for you.
I would struggle greatly if I was all of a sudden okay to be a polygamist. That would be an exceptionally hard thing, and I would just pray.
Al, you just started the show saying how you think a polygamist.
And well, it looks like a lot of fun, Jeff. And I'll be honest, I can think of a couple of sisters that would be a fine solution for me. But in general, I think it's a bad idea. I'm just against it. Like it would just, it's society and culture. Like this is why gay marriage is hard for some of us, right? Is because we know one type of marriage. We know one way, and that's what we're comfortable with, and that's what we lived looking for and seeking for our whole lives. And to change that up is hard in my head.
I understand.
I don't know what you're doing to your body. But yes.
A quick little news item here. There was a fire at the church's studio over in Provo.
Boring. Another quick news item. The Mormon Tabernacle Squire sings It's a Small World, released by Disney.
Why did they do this? Why do they do this to us? Why did they waste resources singing in unison for 40 seconds?
Ugh, I hate YouTube, Let's see. Another one. The angel Moroni is now atop the Provo City Center Temple.
Faux shizzle?
And the picture of it shows a bunch of people over on the New Skin building watching it go up. I didn't know they had Mormons at New Skin.
Oh, yeah. It's a first. Who knew? MLMs to the core. It's a big deal, though. I mean, it's a landmark day. They built the center spire on there, and they've lowered Moroni into his spot. It's pretty cool.
They did it. I can't wait to go there. That'll be fun.
It is always cool when a Moroni gets on a temple.
It's always cool when Moroni comes.
It is. It's amazing because it either means the temple will be open soon, or you're
Hey guys, is Moroni coming? It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
it's gonna be way cool.
Either that, or you're gonna be in charge of translating an ancient set of scripture. So either way, when Moroni shows
that's gonna
up,
be the name of this week's show. Hey guys, is Moroni coming? It's a good idea.
that's what you want to name the episode. Of all the things we could name this episode, I was just gonna name it "I Just Want to Fly."
Oh, that's a good one too.
Or Mark McGrath is Mormon. That should be what we call it.
What else is there, Jeff? What else is there?
What else is there? There's so many things. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Go ahead. Do it.
Well, there was a great April Fool's joke that happened today where they
It was Times and Seasons. It was great.
They did a very good one where they said Jabari Parker struck a deal. The NBA and the LDS Church struck a deal where Jabari Parker would just serve a mission wherever he was drafted so that he could play basketball while preaching the gospel. It's very funny.
It is pretty funny because it says that, yeah, he will, they struck a deal that they will call him to serve a mission wherever he gets drafted to be by the NBA. And so he will proselyte and live with missionary companions like other missionaries, except that since he's an NBA player, he and his companion will attend all of the team's practices and games.
I love it. That would be wonderful.
It's pretty funny. It went all over the internet today on April Fool's, but I enjoyed it. I loved it. Mm-hmm. I chewed it up, spit it out. It was great.
You did all those things. Good work.
A bishop of our church, the Mormon Church, as Peggy Fletcher Stack wants to make sure you know for SEO reasons, a Utah Mormon bishop is helping.
Oh, Peggy Fletcher
is helping his members sign up for Obamacare, which is interesting.
Is that okay? Are we allowed to do that?
I guess so. So this is Bishop David Heslington of an inner city Salt Lake. First of all, when anyone uses the expression
inner city Salt Lake,
when anyone uses the expression inner city Salt Lake City, I can't help but laugh.
No, they're talking. That's Sandy. That's Sandy.
Yeah, where is inner city Salt Lake? Oh, they mean West Valley
North
City?
Salt Lake.
I think they
Bountiful, Farmington, maybe.
Over where the red iguana is? Is that what they mean? That neck of the woods?
Oh, yeah. West Salt Lake.
Yeah, there is no inner city in Salt Lake.
If you cross the 15,
yeah, it's very rough. The point is, he's got the bishop here has a diverse ward with people in lots of different circumstances, and so apparently Salt Lake City is also the addiction recovery central for all of Utah. So lots of people come to his ward to find those services as well, and they wind up in his boundaries. But the problem is, he says, 1 in 5 of his congregants fall into a coverage gap for health care. So he actually assigned a ward member to be the sort of unofficial health navigator for the ward and help people get signed up on insurance.
I bet it's a man and not a woman.
Sam. It's Sam. Sam can be a man or a woman, though 70% of the time it's a man.
That's a unisex name. That's a safe name to assign somebody just to be... I mean, he's right in the hotbed.
Yeah.
Smart
move. Someone did ask, though. Now, I don't know if you know this, Al. Obviously, the church has welfare for Bishop Storehouse and the like, but do we have anything in terms of health care support?
Well, no.
I didn't think so.
I don't believe we do. We have Children's Mercy Hospital, LDS charities.
Yeah.
That support that. But no, I don't believe we have any sort of health care. But it's probably a smart move because if you can get health care for people, then you know the church is essentially offloading that welfare burden, which is good. They're helping people get on their feet and get going. Where normally, like if they didn't do that and they didn't have health care and something happened, you'd go to the church for help, right? It's probably a smart financial move. Maybe the church should do a big
but maybe. But if you don't have
push.
health care, what's the church going to do if the church does not provide health care?
Well, they provide health care to their employees. But like let's say you went to the church or you went to the hospital, didn't have health care. You went and got something done. You ended up with a bill of say $5,000. You couldn't pay it. You go to your bishop and say, "Hey, here's what's going on."
Yeah, that's true.
The bishop. I mean, that's what welfare funds are for. Is for helping the poor and the needy and like getting stuff taken care of.
The church should go the extra mile and expand its health insurance coverage for church employees to all church members. Yeah.
Whoa!
Do our own.
That'd be great. Join the church.
They'll call it Monson Care
to avoid Obamacare penalties. That's a good idea.
Monson Care has a decent ring, but does anything else? Christofferson Care is too long. Who else would have a good name? Uchtdorf Care. Too weird.
No.
So far, Monson Care is my favorite. Holland Care has a nice ring to it.
Holland Hearts. Okay. Let's see. Let's do some conference predictions real quick, Jeff.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
want to
It's
talk
that,
about
it's
any
that
of these other
time.
stories.
It's that time. Let's do it.
So next week is conference coming up in a couple of days. The big news, I think, is going to be one that they are going to give young women
The priesthood.
missionary callings such as zone leader and
I don't think that would be an announcement that would come in conference, though.
but maybe it will.
I think
Maybe
that
they'll
would
talk
just...
about mission. No, they could talk about missionary work. It'd be a talk on missionary work, and they're going to let it slip. Now we're excited that mission presidents will start calling women to be zone leaders.
They might, but I feel like that would be the kind of thing the church would test out in a couple of missions to see how it goes, because that's kind of how
Maybe
it
it's already been happening.
It might be. And
I haven't been on a mission in years.
I'm a firm believer in that one, Al. I see no justifiable
I know
reason.
you are.
Do you see any reason why in a regular old mission a sister cannot be a district leader or a zone leader over elders?
Only because they often, in my mission, would spend so much time shopping for gift cards to make people feel loved that I felt like I was a harder worker. Even though it's not true and they had more success than I did, I wore out more shoes than they did.
Did I ever tell you my theory for why the elders in my mission typically lost weight but the sisters gained weight?
No, go on.
Well, it's all a matter of physics, you see. As elders,
Okay.
I walked everywhere in my mission, and we walked a lot, and we walked fast. That's what missionaries do. And
Like
so
pioneer children, sure.
I walked so quickly that I eventually stepped up to the level of anaerobic exercise, you see, thus keeping my weight down and my body trim. I feel, though, that sister missionaries, because they had to wear the skirts, were confined to only a certain...
Slow walkers, we call them.
Well, no, their stride could only be so long. Thus, they never reached the same threshold of aerobic or anaerobic activity and heart rate. Because
they
were
never got the
physically...
heart rate there.
They were physically unable
Yeah.
to do so because they were impeded by their skirts.
Absolutely.
Ergo, they did not have the...
Their mini skirts were keeping their stride very
They
small.
did not
Have you
have
seen
them
the
attainable.
skirts these women are wearing, Jeff? They could run a marathon in these floor-length, wishy-washy skirts. I mean, you're practically a pilgrim woman in these. Denim jumpers abound in your mission. We all know what these things look like. There is no constriction in their gait.
I'm telling you, that's what I've decided. There's no other rationale for it. Or they were...
Okay, what's your conference prediction? What happens for you?
I've actually heard a lot. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I've heard a lot of rumblings that
Go on.
the church is toying with going down to a 2-hour block.
Wait, for real?
For real.
What would they ditch?
What I've heard is they would actually alternate between Sunday school and then Priesthood Relief Society every other week.
Where are you hearing these
I
rumblings?
have my sources.
Go on. What are they? What are these sources?
I will.
What sources would say such
I don't
things?
reveal
Like,
sources.
Are they sources within the church office building?
My source is a man who goes by Bob Hales.
Bob D. Hales?
I'm not at liberty to say.
Wait, so is this like a real thing that could happen?
I said, "Hey, are we going to change the schedule?" He's like,
What-
"Yeah, you want to
What
hit
would our
it?"
reaction be? Are we excited, or are we like, why are you
I like it when you say
killing
that.
our church?
What's our reaction? Are we excited? I don't know. I don't mind 3-hour church, though I will fully admit that being in primary, I'm pretty over it by the end of the whole block. I'm ready to go home. Because it's just tiring, because kids and stuff and whatever, life. I don't know. There are many who clamor for the 2-hour block, as if that's the big thing holding us back from seeing greater success.
But then do you turn and go for a 1-hour block eventually?
Right, well, it would take, a very, very long time.
It's
to
a
get to
slippery slope. We used to have a 5-hour block.
that. No, we didn't.
And that was much better.
We
now we're at 3, soon 2. Eventually, there's no block.
But it's true. I mean, look at the there was a time when I thought the endowment, for example, was always going to get shorter because it used to be very, very long. But then they made the new movies and they wound up stretching it out by an extra 15 minutes. So who knows? You can't
know. Do you have any other predictions? Is there a temple that will be announced?
Temple predictions. I don't believe we had any last conference. So we're due.
We got the proverbial temple stiff.
So I have a few thoughts. I'm not necessarily willing to commit to say this will happen, but I think a temple will be announced in one of the 3 following locations.
Go on.
Either Abu Dhabi, somewhere in India, probably Bangalore, or
Wait, an Indian temple?
or Bangkok. I'm leaning on Bangkok, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Bangkok, Thailand, even with the unrest that's been happening in and out there.
Oh yeah, because we don't have temples functioning in states with unrest. Ukraine.
We don't start building temples in.
We
countries
built a
with
temple
unrest.
during the Cold War in East Germany. We can build a temple anywhere.
Fair enough. All right.
But I agree with you. I understand if
Well,
it's violent. So
people, you heard it here first. Jeff thinks Bangkok. I think Abu Dhabi.
so Bangalore just gets no love.
Well, I'm just trying to be contrarian to what you're saying. I'm all for a Bangkok.
I think they will also announce that they were.
One night in Bangkok and the world stops turning.
They will announce that they were going to build a temple in Moscow, but on principle have decided not to, because it came to their attention that members of the church were advocating for a lack of freedom in Ukraine, and they said, "Get your act together, members.
They said you could have had this.
No temple for you at this point. This could have been yours. You know we're building it now."
They'll be standing up there announcing them, and it'll come up on the screen, Moscow, and Moscow will go,
They'll say no more, and then President Monson will say, "Guess where we decided to build it instead, you punks? Bratislava, Slovakia gets it now for no good reason.
You knew what I was when you picked me up."
The next one's going to be built in Poland, which has like 3 members because everyone there is so devoutly Catholic. Poland is hard. Poland is a hard mission.
I don't know what that means, but sure.
They're actively. Other than that, I don't know if I have any other foreign I think we'll have more talks on women.
Faith.
We will have more talks on the value of women. Some women will give prayers. No shocker there. I don't envision any grand new programs or anything like that.
I think Bednar talks on the sealing powers, and Holland will focus primarily on people that are dealing with depression still.
And will we see the oxygen glasses from Elder Hales?
Yes.
And we know he's speaking. The church posted from Elder Hales' Facebook page that said, come see Elder Hales speak in general conference. So if they don't hold up that end of the bargain, I'm going to be very upset. That's all.
You would be livid.
All right.
All right,
get out of
Jeff.
here.
Well, it's been a delightful week. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. You can find us at thisweekinmormons.com. Come leave a comment, do things with us, or send us an email at contact@thisweekinmormons. That is the email that we check.
Fo shizzle my pizzle. We also have facebook.com
We don't say
/
that.
thisweekinmormondizzle and the Twitter-izzle at the real twim.
thing.
Also Instagram-izzle and my pizzle. Get up in this
hate
dizzle.
you.
And
this does not represent the views of
please subscribe
Mormon
also in
staff.
iTunes and elsewhere and all those great things. We would love that.
Stitcher Radio.
Yeah, Stitcher.
Yeah, thanks a lot for sharing the word. We are growing leaps and bounds, and it's all because of you. Thanks,
We
everybody.
are. We've experienced great growth lately. So whoever's been spreading the word, thanks for that.
Keep spreading.
Bye,
All right,
Al.
see you, Jeff.
Bye, Al. Please don't be depressed. I hope you go find some food. And
I will.
I love
See
you.
you, buddy.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Twim, everybody. Hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you after conference for conference recap, one of our favorite things to do every 6 months. Talk to you soon.
Remember